Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to learn the basics of Scratch. In the past, you may have used Scratch Junior, but Scratch is a sort of much more advanced version of Scratch Junior. And in Scratch, we can code pretty much anything that you have seen on the internet or on TV. We can create very complicated games. We can create any kind of animation that we want. We can create different types of apps as well. But what we're going to do today is just kind of get familiar with how Scratch works, particularly with how the stage works. And the stage is this scene that we see in front of us, how we kind of move across the stage, some of the different features that we might have, and how we can help create animation. So what I created here is a simple animation where this dog walks around the stage, and as he walks around, he leaves a rainbow trail everywhere he goes. So you can't see me, but I'm going to be controlling the character with the arrow pads on my keyboard. So if I push right, he goes right, left, up, down, etc. So I always start by clicking the green flag, and he goes back to his starting spot. I push the arrows, and he starts walking. You can see his legs moving, looking like he's walking. A trail is created, and the trail changes color, and he sort of changes positions to help him look like he's walking in the right direction. Okay, so let's get started on how to make this animation. All right, so after you log into Scratch, your screen looks something like this. The most important thing we need to know about is we're gonna go to our folder up here. If I click on that, that takes me to my stuff folder, which will show all the projects I've created and where I can create a new project, and also something called Studios, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But for now, we're gonna go to a new project. I click on a new project, and here we go. So just want to explain a few things over here. On the left side here is our different coding blocks. And as you can see, they're broken down into categories. Blue is motion, how we move around the stage. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Looks, how he looks, he might say things. Sound, again. Events is all the different ways I control the program, how to start it, how to make the characters move around. Controls is going to be very important later on. It allows me to do a lot of kind of gaming things. Sensing, again, is a bit more advanced for our games. Operators, again, very advanced. Variables, we can create some variables for scoreboards and timers and things like that. And then we can kind of create our own. And then something down here is where there's even more. I'm going to move my head over to this side, I think. Where there's even more extensions where we can do things like attach robots and kind of control an external robot to our project. So I'm going to go back. And then, of course, we're going to drag the code out into our code editor where we're making our code. Then here is the Scratch stage, and which the stage works on a coordinated plane. So let me jump over and explain a coordinated plane a little bit more. All right, so this is what the stage of Scratch looks like with the coordinate plane on it. As you can see, there are numbers and an X and a Y axis. The X is going left to right, and the Y is going up and down. And there's a number attached to every location. So if I want Scratch to go right here, I have to figure out what is the coordinate on X. So I just go down. So X equals 10 is how we write it in Scratch. and I go across to y, and y also equals 10, so I would say I want to move Scratch to x equals 10 and y equals 10. If I was going, then I wanted Scratch to go over here, I do the same thing. I look on the x-axis, and you can see now it's -9 because it's below 0. And on the y-axis, it is 3. So x equals -9, y equals 3. That's how we kind of describe the locations on Scratch. Okay, so the coordinated plane is how we figure out where Scratch is and where he's going. As you can see down here on below the stage is these numbers. It tells me where along the x-axis Scratch is, or the character, and where along the y-axis he is. So right now he's at 0, 0, so that's in the middle. But Scratch is very easy to use. I don't have to kind of do any math to figure out where he is. If I drag him up, he's moving along the y-axis, the up and down. So if I go move him up, you can see down here that that y number went up. It kind of shows down here where he is. So that's very easy for me to see what the numbers are, and I can kind of plug them in. But even more easy, over here in my motion block, if I'm making an animation or a game and I want Scratch to go here, those numbers appear, but I don't even have to remember them. Those numbers automatically transfer into this go to X, Y spot. So it's saying go to that spot. Then if I want him to go up here, those numbers changed again, and the numbers change in my next go to box. So if I click, put a when the green flag is clicked, kind of start. If I push that, he's going to go down to that corner and then go back up to the top. So if I push the green flag, oh, he's doing it super, super fast. I'm going to have to put a control in and say, wait 1 second, because he did it so fast that you can't basically see him. So he goes there and then goes back. So he's just like not really moving. He's just going to those spots. Anyway, we're not going to be kind of using those today. So Scratch is here. We're going to now create our kind of animation that we said. So I'm going to get rid of the cat. So I just use the garbage and go down here and search a new sprite. I can scroll through everything or just kind of look up at the different categories. I'm looking at an animal. So when I go to my dog and I hover on him, I see that it looks like he's moving. And what that means is that there are different costumes of this dog. So this dog is not just that one kind of walking image. There's ones with a few different images of him that when I put them together, it looks like he's moving. So this one looks like he's walking. If I go to this dove, it looks like there's two different costumes, one with his wings up and down, so it looks like he's flying. So each character, I want to kind of test what the costumes are to see if I want him to walk. I kind of use this one. Not everyone walks. So I click on him, he's in here. So the first thing I want to do is kind of reset my game or start my game. So I always start my game on a when green flag is clicked. I would like him to come to the middle to start the game. So I'm going to use that go to, and I know the middle is 0, 0, so I can just type in 0, 0. I can try to drag him to a spot and say, okay, that's close enough to the middle and that's fine. But I know the middle is 0, 0, so I choose that. Then I'm going to set his rotation style, which means that if he goes up, he doesn't just go up like that. He kind of spins around to look like he's walking up. So when I set rotation style, it's not just left, right. He can rotate all around and go up and go that way and go down. So I'm going to set the rotation style there. I'm also going to say I want him to point in the direction of 90 degrees. I want him looking this way. Because if the game starts and he's looking up, it kind of looks a little strange in my mind. So the direction, I can just click on that and it gives me a nice, easy to see arrow. But the direction of up is 0 degrees, right is 90, down is 180, left is negative 90, and there's 0. So I want him to be facing that way, so I'll put it at 90. Then I want to get the pen ready so he can make that rainbow trail. So what I have to do is come down here to this extra feature, because pen's not a common one, click on it, and click on the pen, and now my blocks for pen appear. And I'm going to first erase all, because if someone played my animation, the screen is all colored. I want to erase that when the game starts. Then I'm gonna choose a color for my pen, and I can just kind of click on that color, and I'm gonna change these to kind of bright to get my rainbow color. And you can see the colors kind of have numbers. You can choose a number or, just find the color. So I'm gonna choose pinkish. You can, change whatever, but that's fine for now. And I can see that color's 85, but that's not so important for now. Then I want to set the pen size, how thick or how thin my pen is. I'm gonna set it to 50, and there's kind of we just sort of guess at that and then see if it's too small or too big and so on. And then I'm going to put my pen down on the ground so that it writes. And I can lift the pen up and put it down, because I maybe don't always want him to write. Only when he's going in one direction he might write, whatever. But here the pen is down. So that's gonna get him writing. Now I need to code him to start moving. And I'm gonna do it all in the same space, because it's all this character, and I can have loads of different segments of code. So I go back to events. I'm not going to use when the green flag is clicked. Now I'm going to use this one when space bar key is pressed. And if I click on that, I have every letter of the alphabet, numbers, everything on a keyboard more or less. And I'm going to choose first the right arrow. So I'm going to use the right arrow to control where he goes. So when the right arrow is clicked, what do I want him to do? Well, I want him to point in the direction. He's already pointing that way, but I want to make sure he's pointing in that way. So point in the direction of 90, facing that way. And then I want him to move 10 steps. And that means he's going to move in short spots. Right, Mr. Lewis just came in the room, so got distracted. Okay, so he's gonna move 10 steps, and that gives like a little, he walks along that x-axis, or sorry, the x-axis, 10 little steps, so it looks more like he's walking rather than the other one where he just automatically went. So steps is a good way to do walking, yeah. So he's gonna move 10 steps, and then I want the color of the pen to change to a rainbow. So I'm just going to go back to my pen and say change the pen color by, now it goes to the number. So this pink was like number 85, I think. And so it's going to change a little bit along that kind of rainbow. I can do 10, I can do 1. I'm going to maybe try 3 and see what happens so that I can really see the difference in colors. So now he moves to the right, he points in that direction, he takes steps in the pen color. So let's check it out and see what happens. I'm going to click the green flag, he goes to the middle, Everything looks fine, I think. You can't see me, but I'm gonna push the right arrow. There we go. He's making a color, that looks good. But if I push up, down, he can't go any other way. So I need to code more things. So I can pull everything out, all the blocks again, same as this one, but I can also just copy and paste and change what I need to change. It's only 4 blocks, but I can also copy and paste and like move this. If I had another character, I can copy and paste it, bring it to another character, which is useful later on. So I just it turns yellow on your iPad. Mine looks a little bit different. Command C, Command V, and there it goes. I'm gonna just change a few things. Change right arrow to left arrow, point the direction to -90. He's still gonna move 10 steps. The pen's still gonna change color. That should be good. Let me try it out. He's going left. That looked a little bit strange, so we'll have to think about that in a second. I'm gonna do another one. And when he goes up, he's gonna face in the direction of up. Take 10 steps and do the same thing. One more time. I'm gonna just kind of slide him down here. When he's facing down, he's gonna be going at 180, and that should be good. And let's have a look and see what happens. So I click the green arrow. Oh, I know I forgot something. So let's do it and see what happens. So I'm gonna click the green arrow, he goes back, and now he goes. So he's moving, but something's weird. It doesn't look like he's walking, and he doesn't kind of spin around so well. So what's happening is that I didn't change his costume. He is always in that way. So if I go up here on the left side, costumes, I can see this dog has 4 costumes. And if I keep changing them, it's going so fast it looks like he's walking. So I'm gonna go back to code and say, after he moves 10 steps, he's gonna change to the next costume. So I'm gonna just pull that down. Well, first I gotta get that out. That's looks. And just go next costume, and I can kind of put that in there. Next costume, put that in there. Next costume. Next costume. Okay, let's try that and see how that looks. This is an important part to go back and look for bugs or see what's missing. So I push the green flag. He's going that way. Okay, he's walking, but he's kind of doing like a weird spin. So I don't like that spin, because that means one of the costumes is him like showing his tail. So I want to get rid of that one. So I'm going to go back to costumes and see this last one. I don't want that costume. I'm just going to delete it. And now it's just going to switch from A to B to C to A to B to C to A to B to C. And it should look like it did originally. So I click on that. Back to them. I'm going to use my arrows. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Just like I wanted. So now that we have that, we can experiment with a few different things. I've got my basic game down. I might try some things like moving a few steps and seeing how that goes, or going in different directions to see, how things change a little bit. All right, I look forward to seeing what you've got.